So the Sailor Moon reboot's coming up very soon. Actually in about a month. That's exciting. And as a special tribute to Sailor Moon, I will dedicate the next 4 or so weeks, depending on how quick I get these things out, to Sailor Moon. This episode, we're going to talk about the differences between the anime and the manga. The idea of Sailor Moon was actually an expansion of author Naoko Takeuchi's, sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, codenamed Sailor V manga. When she was in negotiations with Toei Animation, she wanted to make Sailor V part of a team, and thus Sailor Moon happened. The first season, aka classic season to the fans, revolves around Usagi, a 14-year-old girl who loves sleeping and eating and is not a very good student. Oh yeah, and she's a crybaby. One day she meets a cat named Luna, and she tells Usagi that she's the pretty guardian soldier Sailor Moon. And from there she has adventures with other Sailor Senshi that are all named after the planets of the solar system. Shut up, Pluto is still a planet, in my book. They fight bad guys, and they're all good friends. At least, that's the gist of it in both the anime and the manga. In total, there were 5 arcs in the manga and 5 seasons in the anime, so I will touch upon each season/arc and note the major differences. Keep in mind, Naoko Takeuchi wasn't really involved with the anime. She wasn't really involved with the creative process, and this will become more apparent later on. The first season/arc. Sark? What do you call it that? Sark. I like that. Simple times. Those were simple times. They were so simple. Both are pretty similar and are pretty much the Sailor Moon origin story in a nutshell. The premise of this arc is the Senshi searching for the Moon Princess and the Silver Crystal. That way they can find out about their pasts. This arc also involves a lot of character backstory for Mamoru Chiba, or Tuxedo Mask, as he's trying to figure out who he is and constantly dreams about this princess that tells him to find the Silver Crystal. The villains in both versions involve the Dark Kingdom, who's ruled by Queen Beryl and her 4 generals, Jadeite, Nephrite, Zoisite, and Kunzite. The generals don't really appear too long in the classic manga. I mean, well, although they're a little more important as spoilers, they're a little more important because they're pretty much the equivalent of Tuxedo Mask Senshi, well in this case generals. They're male Senshi, but that's for another time. Nephrite is given a bit of more development due to him falling in love with Usagi's friend Naro in the anime, and his death is really sad. Yeah, there's a shit ton of death in this series. Zoisite and Kunzite are interesting, seeing as they are lovers in the anime, but in the manga, they're not. You know that big thing people who aren't too familiar with the series say? How can the villains not know who Sailor Moon is? I mean, Usagi's always wearing the same hairstyle, and she doesn't really cover her face with a mask or anything. In the manga, for a short time, she has a mask similar to Tuxedo Kamen's masks. While in the manga, the Senshi are introduced fairly quickly, the anime takes its time. Now, with some of them. Now, actually, the development of the Senshi in the anime and manga is different. You get to see more interaction between the Senshi and Usagi, but in the manga they're given a little more backstory. Each time they're introduced, there's a lot of backstory, like, yeah. There's a lot of they're given more backstory, and as in the case with Sailor Venus, well, she had 2 mangas dedicated to her. Like, book-sized mangas. So that's all her development went. And sometimes the anime would give some backstory with an episode dedicated to each senshi, depending on such thing. Formula! Yay! The word for today, children, is filler! Don't forget it! Just wait until I mention the later seasons. When the Moon Princess Serenity is finally revealed, guess who it was? No shit. I mean, seriously, who was the Moon Princess? Yeah, there's... Just ignore the plot holes in this whole thing. It's done differently in the manga and anime. In the anime, there's an arc within an arc, where the Senshi and the Dark Kingdom are looking for the rainbow crystals, and when all 7 crystals are corrected, the silver crystal is supposed to appear. In the manga, Sailor Moon transforms into the princess after Tuxedo Mask saves her life and nearly dies. Also in the manga, Sailor Moon and Tuxedo Mask get all their memories back as soon as this happened. Also, Tuxedo Mask was a prince named Endymion. What they said. And he fell in love with Princess Serenity. They get their memories back in the anime too, but only bits and pieces until towards the end of the season. When Queen Beryl kidnaps Tuxedo Mask and turns him evil, it's done differently. In the anime, they only have him evil in his tuxedo alias, but they don't show him in Mamura form, civilian form. In the manga, how do I put this? Well, they sort of go this route. Okay, I'm exaggerating, it got me a bit, but they do show him more in civilian form, being more cocky and of an asshole. At the end of the anime, all the Senshi die, Queen Beryl, and their memories are erased. The manga ends a little differently. The Senshi's transformation devices are destroyed in the process of defeating Queen Beryl and Tuxedo Mask, and Sailor Moon defeat the Dark Kingdom. Let's on to the next arc. Now, Toei wasn't too sure of pursuing a second season of the anime, so the first third or so is entirely an anime invention. A lot of fans refer to this first part of arc as the A and N arc. It was mostly to get back the Senshi together and Sailor Moon getting an upgrade and also aliens. They're a fun set of episodes and it was a good way to get everything back together. The rest of the season takes some things from the manga, but there's one big change that was done in the manga. In this season, a pink-haired girl also named Usagi appears. But they call her Chibiusa. She came from the future to find the silver crystal. Meanwhile, she's being chased by the Black Moon clan consisting of the Ayakashi sisters, Rubius, Esmeralda, Sapphire, and Prince Daman. Their leader is Wiseman. The goal is to get Chibiusa and the silver crystal so they can take over 30th century Tokyo. Yeah. The Ayakashi sisters are more fleshed out and developed in the anime, while in the manga they're killed off quickly, and more of the focus is on Esmeralda, Sapphire, and Demando, and I guess Wiseman. The biggest change that not many people like is Amuro dumps Usagi in the anime, even though they were only together for a short time after they both got their memories back. Yeah, what a keeper. He does this because he keeps getting visions that he should stay away from her, or else bad shit will happen. While he does get these visions in the manga, Mamoru mostly tries to push Usagi away from him. Usagi gets jealous of him paying more attention to Chibiusa than her. In the anime, he just straight up dumps her, and for 10 to 12 straight episodes, it's a lot of Mamoru being a grade A douchebag. Yeah, he's not done well in the anime, in case you couldn't tell. The manga does give more justice to the character, but more on that later. Another big difference is Sailor Pluto. She appears in both versions, but she's given more time in the manga arc of this. In fact, she dies by breaking one of the taboos as ordered by the Neo Queen of Tokyo. The anime does not do this in the season, though. Near the end of the anime, things do stick to the manga. Also, Mamoru and Usagi get back together. They reveal that Chibiusa is indeed Mamoru and Usagi's daughter in the future. And their names are Neo King Endymion and Neo Queen Serenity, for those of you keeping note. Both the anime and manga endings are similar, not much else to say about this arc. Now let's move on to the fan-favorite arc. Let me note here that originally Taikuchi didn't want to go further in the R Black Moon arc, but with a little persuasion by Toei and high demand by fans, she continued. Both the manga and the anime are considered the best by fans. There are some differences. In the manga, we are introduced to Sailor Uranus and Neptune and how they, well, do I put this, get in the way of Usagi and Mamoru for a bit, both in civilian form and Senshi fighter form. There's a moment when Uranus kisses Moon and there's flirting on both ends. Although Mamoru doesn't touch Michiru, and Haruka's always flirting with Usagi. Uranus and Neptune want to search for the Messiah because the end of the world is approaching. They are also searching for the third talisman. The Witches 5 are the villains, much like the Ayakashi sisters in R, are also one-shot characters, not really given much development. In the anime, Haruka and Michiru are more hostile towards the inner Senshi, especially when they find out Moon is the Messiah. They do want to search for the talismans, but this is done through pure heart crystals, giving the season a formula much similar to the first season with the rainbow crystals, or the second season did that too. Also in the manga, the Holy Grail is supposed to be summoned by Senshi as opposed to the talismans. Oh, and they kill off Pluto in this season of the anime. She dies for the same reason as she did in the R manga. Goddamn those taboos. In the anime, Hotaru is just a sick girl with healing powers. In the manga, she's a cyborg as a result of her father's experiments of her. Speaking of her father dies in the manga, but in the anime, they both live and Hotaru's reborn as a baby. She's reborn as a baby in the manga too. Also, yeah, the Witches 5 are run by her father, Professor Tomo, and just think crazy mad scientist whenever I mention him. And by the end of the manga, Michiru and Haruka adopt Hotaru and raise her. The adoption thing does not happen until later. It seems to happen a lot in these things. Also, there's an interesting note in the manga that is never stated in the anime. Uranus is a senshi of both genders. And now we reach the season in the anime only, really, that is almost universally hated among the fandom.